Hello, everyone. Welcome back to episode 2 of Unknowingly Madridistas. Quite a bit to cover today. A couple of transfer rumours, a bit about the youth academy and how they've been doing in the Spain under-19 tournament, and the players that are still at the World Cup, and a bit about Jose Mourinho's first couple of days at the team. Yeah, quite a lot to talk about. So let's dive straight into it. So there have been a couple of transfer rumours in the past couple of days, such as Brozovic and Adrian Rabiot. Brozovic is it's not confirmed. There's nothing that says there's any advanced talks, but Brozovic has been offered to the club, and it would only be a one-season thing. Brozovic, I believe, is still he's in his early 30s, 32, I think. A very experienced player, Inter Milan for many years, and most recently found himself at Al Nassr. So this would be a one-season thing, and I commented and posted that I think this, if it's a one-season thing, you've already bought in Bernardo Silva, who is your experienced man for the midfield. You know, the Cruz replacement, if you must. I don't see the need for Brozovic unless Camavinga was leaving, and unless Chouameni was leaving, but he's not because he signed a contract extension, which is amazing, up until 2031, which really kills off the interest from Man United, who are apparently never really in talks to sign him anyway. In fact, they've gone to sign Yuri Tielemans now. But Brozovic, I don't sort of understand this one. I would if we were losing players like Camavinga and Chouameni, but I don't. If Camavinga and Chouameni are staying, I don't understand this one. Because yes, he's not going to start. He's going to be a bench rotation player, experienced squad player. But I said that this one season player can be someone from the academy who can go on and prove himself. That don't have to go out on loan just to prove himself. I think if you give this opportunity to Petarch, give him many more minutes, I think he impresses. Sure, he had a couple of games where he struggled in his last season, but what player doesn't have those games where they struggle? You know, he was being put into the starting 11 quite a number of times. Arbeloa clearly trusted him, but I think there's a risk if you're going with Brozovic and you're saying to Thiago Petarch, off you go out on loan, go, because apparently he's had a number of offers on loan, but nothing's been confirmed yet. He will be established in pre-season, and I hope he performs well. I hope Mourinho doesn't look over to Brozovic and go, "Come on in." Out goes Petarch. His future's not clear then. Whereas if you go, Petarch, you've got pre-season, impress me, 4 games, whatever it is, impress me, and he grabs a goal, he grabs an assist, doesn't perform badly, space for improvement clearly, but he doesn't perform badly. You go along with him, or so I would anyway. But we know what Mourinho's like, and I said it last time. Mourinho is not a youth academy sort of style manager. He doesn't often lean on the youth academy, although he has in previous years. You know, you look at Varane. There was that player, was it Sedin at Inter Milan? So you know there has been times where he has used academy players. Dalot, if you must, at Man United. So he has used academy players, but it's not very common that he does, which makes me worried for Petarch because I don't I don't know. I do see him going out on loan actually. You know, if I'm picturing January, I can see him out on loan. That's just the way I can see things. But I don't think I'm more leaning towards using the youth academy. Some would be saying, yeah, bring in Brozovic. We need that experience in the midfield. But I think Bernardo Silva's your man. I think you've bought it. Well, they've bought in Konate, Dumfries, Cucurella, and Bernardo Silva. Four experienced players, four players who are world class. Do you need Brozovic in that mix? I don't think you do. You've already added four experienced players. The youth lacks. So I would avoid bringing someone like Brozovic or Adrian Rabiot because it's not what we need. We need to give youth academy players a chance. You know, if we go on and loan out all the youth academy guys, sell a couple of them as well for a couple of £1 million, and then we're sat there with little to any youth products. The idea of Castilla is then drawn out of the club. You always need a couple of academy players. I mean, look at Vasquez, look at Asensio. They've done it through the academy. They didn't become the best players of Real Madrid, but they fought for the club. Nacho, he fought for the club. Carvajal. They're all players that fought for the club. That is why I wouldn't bring in Brozovic or Adrian Rabiot. And some people will agree with that. Some people will disagree with that and claim that we still needed that bit more experience. But I don't think it's worth it, especially if someone like Brozovic wants 120 grand a week. Yes, we can afford to give him that, but does he really? Should we be giving him that much just to be sat on the bench? The second point is Spain under-19 won the under-19 championships, so massive congratulations to them. 6 players are part of that, which was Pitarch, Aguado, Mario Rivas, who scored in the final, really good header, Javi Navarro, Jesus Ortega, and Daniel Yanez were all involved in that Spain squad. So brilliant to see them with some silverware. Second bit of silverware this season, on top of the youth league back in April, and they have a chance to get some more silverware in September against Santiago Wanderers, which is an international final at the Bernabeu. A game that I am very much looking at going towards, but nothing confirmed yet. That would be vlogged. But you know, it's great because they're kind of getting into this winner's mentality. You know, at Real Madrid, you've got to be a winner. You've got to know what it's like to win trophies, and these players, they're starting to do that. And that hence why I would give them the go. They know the intensity of a final, even if it's under 19s. They know the intensity of a final. They know what it means. They know what it means to go far. They have passion for this club. So I would give them all a very big chance next season. So no more main signings, unless Rudiger and Militao both did their ACLs. I probably would be saying, yeah, okay, we need to be looking at another centre back then. But with these 6 players, I think they've all got some sort of future. You know, Navarro could really be a number 1 in a couple of years after Courtois decides to call it a day. He's injured from the Belgium game. We don't know how serious that is. I don't think it's that serious. I think he'll be back fine. So Navarro could be a starting option 4 or 5 years if you must. Forteo could even be an option because Denzel Dumfries and Trent, they aren't the youngest players anymore. They aren't young right backs. Denzel Dumfries is 28 and Trent, Dumfries is 30, Trent is 28. Forte is 19. There is potential. Again, 3-4 years. Once both their contracts up, Forte at 23 had a couple of games. By that point had a couple of games with the team. Maybe a loan move, and he goes at right back. Same goes for Rivas and Aguado. Rudiger's on his final year. Asensio's bound to leave. Militao by that point. probably out the door. Canate, possibly as well, gone by 4 or 5 years. But even in 2 years, I think you could easily bring in Aguado, Rivas, Juan Martinez, or Valdepeñas. Easily. I think one of them should be with the team next season. And then once Rudiger goes, that's your opportunity to bring in another. And you go from there, really. There was Thiago again, who I think should be with the team next season, but I just can't see it. And then you've got Yanez, who... It's an interesting one to predict, really, because Como have been interested in him. Would he go to Arbeloa's Fulham? You never know, because you think, you look at the right wingers at Real Madrid, there's Gula, Mastantuono, Brahim as well. Endrick can play there, so Yanez, you think about it, is pretty much fifth choice. So you never really know with him, with Yanez, who's all they've all been good at the tournament. They've all kind of got some sort of minutes. I think Navarro only played 1 or 2 games, but they were all involved, and it was great. And it's great to see. So then the World Cup is nearing the end. Well, by the time this video will be up, it'll be the Wednesday the 14th. So also my birthday, but I'm filming this on the Tuesday. On the Monday, this video will be up on the Tuesday the 14th. My birthday. There we go. Got it right this time. So when this video is up later on today, France and Spain will play. Mbappe, Tchouaméni, Konate versus Cucurella. It's going to be a great game, no doubt. And then on the Wednesday, England versus Argentina. So there's still quite a few players, obviously Bellingham. So there's still quite a few players that are still there. What, 5? It's obviously not confirmed that someone's going to win because Argentina could win it. But we're bound to have someone in the final. We will have someone in the final. And I can only hope that a Madrid player does win it. If Mbappe wins the World Cup with France, does he win the Ballon d'Or? I think could be lingering in people's minds. I don't think it should be ruled out. I think he's had a great tournament. I think he should be in question for it. Could Bellingham win the World Cup, win the Ballon d'Or with England? Possibly. I think it's unlikely though, but it really depends, because you've got sort of from now until around about September to prove himself, but they never seem to vote off a Ballon d'Or at the start, because they always do it around September, October time, and they never seem to vote from that August to September period. They always seem to do it based off the last season, or the months gone in the year. But I think it with the World Cup, it is all about that. If England win it, could Harry Kane win the Ballon d'Or? Could Elise win the Ballon d'Or? Could Dembele? There's a number of players there who are in line. But I think Mbappe's still in that question. He scored a number of crucial goals for Madrid. Do I think he would? Possibly. I wouldn't say I wouldn't start a petition for Mbappe to win it. Neither would I for Bellingham. But I think they're in question. I think they could easily be in the top 5, most definitely. But there are still a number of players at the World Cup. I think we broke the record for the most goals scored by players from a team at the World Cup, which I think is now 20 odd. I think. I don't take my word on that, but it wouldn't surprise me. You got Brahim, who I think only got the 1 goal with Morocco. Vinicius got about 4 or 5 with Brazil. Bellingham's got 6, 5 or 6. Mbappe's got God knows how many, 9. So that there are we are doing stuff. Gula's got 1 as well for Turkey. Don't think there's anyone else. Endrick didn't get 1, but Madrid players have been really well this World Cup tournament. All the main names have been anyway, and it's great to see. Cucurella is still going. Pretty sure he's got a couple of assists as well. It would be really good to see France win it because I think Mbappe could do with it. So could Bellingham do with it. Cucurella winning the World Cup. I mean, it's a Madrid player, so I certainly wouldn't say no. But you know, you kind of get what I mean. You know, we have had players who have been really good at this World Cup tournament, and we should be a team to look out for. You know, people banter us because we've been trophyless 2 seasons in a row. Sure, but with all these, you know, you look at the players coming in: Dumfries, Cucurella, Konate, Bernardo Silva. They're all winners. Dumfries has won the Serie A many times with, was it they call it the Scudetto in Italy with Inter Milan. Konate's won the Premier League. He's been in Champions League finals. He's played in Carabao Cup finals, FA Cup finals, you know, all sorts. So Konate's ultimately a winner. Cucurella, obviously the Club World Cup, which is just over a year ago now, or about a year ago now. He's won the Conference League. You know, he's been in the Champions League. He's got that Champions League experience. And Bernardo Silva really speaks for itself. You know, God knows however many Premier Leagues. I think it's about 5 or 6. A Champions League, several domestic trophies. So you know, there are winners there, and I think that's sort of the mentality a player like Mbappe needs. Winning the World Cup, bringing that sort of mentality back to Madrid, and engraving it into everyone else, sort of as a captain material. Even if Bellingham has to, we need a winner out of this World Cup, which gives, you know, even the youth academy that have won the under-19 championship and playing another final in September, you know, that winner's mentality, it stays in the club. And then ultimately, we're playing a team like Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, Liverpool in the Champions League, Man City in the Champions League, and we're not backing down. We're not going, we'll probably lose this, it's fine. We know we're going to lose this. It's the fact of having winners and going, we can win these games. We're not going to lose 5-2 to Atletico Madrid. We've got a team full of winners. Teams, you know, players who don't lose by that scoreline very often because they are world class and they are winners. Barcelona, we're not in for any 4-0 humblings. Maybe a 1-0 loss, but I don't expect that for next season. I fully expect next season, not humble Barcelona, not dominate them, 2-0 win, like they did at the end of last season. You know, show that we can actually put up with a fight. Meet them in the Copa de España final in January. Beat them in that. Show them that we are winners, and that's definitely what we need. I mean, we've got a pre-season trophy. However much people might laugh, getting that winner's mentality is so crucial going into next season. I know it's a Teresa Cup, but it's still a trophy. However irrelevant it may be, it's still a trophy that gives you winner's mentality, and that is what we need on top of a Madrid player winning the World Cup, which would be perfect. A perfect way to end the summer going into this next season. You know, Mourinho's had I think now 2 training sessions with Madrid for the pre-season. It'd be interesting to see what he does with his team in pre-season. You know, he's got very little number of first team players, so that just makes you think that there'll be a lot of academy players getting their chance, especially those that have just been at the under-19 championship, because they definitely deserve a chance. I don't think Yanez, Fortea, Rivas, Aguado should be limited to 5 games a season, all off the bench for 10 minutes. I think you could take a risk and play them in a cup game. You know, an occasional league game. Bring one at half time. There you go. Maybe start one of them. It's all about just having that trust and the faith, which I think Mourinho does have. I don't think Mourinho's going to walk into the dressing room when Vinicius and Mbappe and Bellingham are back. I don't think he's going to start throwing the kitchen sink at them and forcing them to I don't know, wash Mourinho's feet.
What the fuck?
Whatever, I don't know. You get the idea. Mourinho's not going to be telling Vinicius to get on all fours and start scrubbing the floors. Mourinho's going to command respect. That's the manager he is. He commands respect. He probably would go a little bit too far if, Bellingham said something back to him. Mourinho's going to say something back, isn't he? That's the type of manager he is. And it'd be really exciting to see what next season has to offer. But yeah, that's episode 2 done. It's not as long as the first one. So the first one just kind of went over everything, what this is going to be. But expect these to be weekly. Next week we'll have surely some more news, maybe a transfer. We'll be obviously by next week we'll be talking about the World Cup. Whoever won the World Cup. If it's Argentina, that will suck because we can't have Messi winning it again, and we need a Madrid player to win it. And by next week, I mean, it's 20th of July. So, we'd be getting closer to pre-season. There might be some more transfer rumours. There might be some more talk from Mourinho. What does he plan to do with the team? Certain players. We'll go from there. So, yeah. That's all for this episode. Quite a bit to talk about. And no doubt there'll be more next week. But yeah, thank you all for watching. And I will see you all next week. Peace.